Hello guys and welcome back to my channel once again. Today I'm going to discuss about one of the important questions that students always face during their exam, especially social examination. How to write interpretation. So 10th class, ninth class, 8th class students should know very well how to write interpretation. If you develop this skill from lower grades like 8th, ninth, then you would be able to do it well in class 10. Okay, so let's not waste time. This is the most important topic in social studies. So I'll give you some key points on how to develop a good interpretation and score the maximum marks in the examination. Many students oftentimes do not feel like this writing the answer for this question in examination, thinking that they wouldn't get marks. And most of the students always think it's hard to write interpretation because these paragraphs are taken randomly from the text and are presented to you in the question paper. So I clearly understand the problems the students face when these type of questions are asked in the examination. So I'm thinking from students mind, I'm thinking from students perspective, and I've developed a few key points to assist you in developing a good interpretation. So there is no specified uh, type, or there is no specifications on how to write interpretation. The word interpretation itself means your meaning, your understanding, right? What you understand from that is your interpretation. So your understanding can be anything. So they won't judge on your understanding in examination. They only look how far you are able to understand it in the right way and how far you are able to relate it to the text. Okay, so let's go in detail. Generally, teachers across there are many different types of opinions in teachers' minds also. Some teachers specify to their children to write interpretation in one single paragraph as a long answer, as a few teachers suggest them to write into 2 3 paragraphs. Some ask them to write even more, and there is always a debate on how much should be written. Should it be long or should it be short? Should children write it in key points or should they build it in the form of paragraphs? So there are many question marks around the interpretation. So today I'm going to clear all those questions in your mind, and I'm going to give you a very simple way of writing a decent interpretation which can fetch you maximum marks in the examination. Okay, so without delaying it anymore, I would like to make it clear that the best practice of writing an interpretation should be in 3 paragraphs. Okay, so there is no special reason as to why it should be 3 paragraphs. I find it very easy to write it in 3 paragraphs. Usually, students feel it easy to convey their opinions in 3 paragraphs, and that looks good on the paper too. That's all. There is no any other logic behind it. So, as we are writing it in 3 paragraphs, I have put some points or some areas which you need to think before you write these 3 paragraphs. Okay, so paragraph number 1. So before going into this, I would like to tell you the easy way to write an interpretation is to prepare it beforehand. So before going to examination, you have to do a thorough reading of the text. That means you need to read the textbook as many times as possible to have a good understanding of the concepts. So if you have good understanding of the concepts, then you would be able to relate to those concepts well in the examination hall. Okay, ignore the background noise or whatever is coming. Okay, I'm not in a very good environment at this time, but I felt it is necessary to I'm making this video. Okay, so in the examination hall, the first and foremost thing that you need to do is read the paragraph twice. You need to read the given paragraph twice to understand. Okay, you read it so that you relate to your teacher's explanation, you relate to your understanding when you are preparing before the exam, you relate all these in these two times. And then with pencil, try to note down. In exam, you would not be allowed to write anything on the question paper, so you can, while practicing, you can underline them, but in the examination, try to note down those key words or those points which are important in that paragraph, which form the basis of that paragraph. Okay, so once you do that, go back to your memory lane, think backwards, think about the paragraph, then you get to the lesson, think about that lesson or the concept which is discussed in the lesson. Okay, and think about your teacher's explanation, go back to your memory, relate that to the lesson, and extract few more words relating to the paragraph given in the question paper. Now all you have to do now is connect these words into sentences and give it a meaningful understanding. So from those words you have certain understanding, you'll get what exactly this paragraph is talking about. So write them down in neat, good paragraph. You can take few examples as I have given here. Take few examples. Examples can be related to the text, or also those examples which are out of the text but are very much related to the paragraph. Pick such examples if you have, if you can. It is not necessary once again, but if you can, do it. Then also related to some current situations, if the paragraph is related to wars or climate or anything which happens around us even today, you can relate to the current situation, present situations, and add them to the paragraph. Okay, so this is first paragraph. Many people think, how long should a paragraph be? So the first paragraph, I would suggest you to write anywhere between 7 to 9 or 10 lines, not more than 10. 7 to 10 lines, solid 5 to 6 key points. The one who corrects the paper should be surprised by your understanding. Okay, so make solid points of 5 to 6, expand them into 8 9 sentences. Anywhere, any number above 7 would be good. So 7 to 10 points in first paragraph would be absolutely good. Okay, so that sums up your para number 1. So now that you have para number 1, let us go back to let us look forward to para number 2. So what should you do in para number 2? Now that you have written down para number 1, simply explain your ideas that you have given para number 1 in detail. Go in depth, talk about it, think few points from the perspective of the reader. Think few points. See, I'm now thinking in the perspective of a student. So you, when you read the paragraph, you think about the paragraph and get into the shoes of that perspective. Think what would happen if you were in that situation. How would it be? What is the present situation? How is world reacting? So depending on the paragraph, you say your mind, you speak your mind. Okay, talk about the things that you have in your mind relating to the topic and explain those points given in para number 1 in great detail. Go about explaining them well. Then write your inferences. See, you have certain understanding, and then what do you note by it? See, for example, if there is a paragraph, let's say Himachal Pradesh, there is lesson in 3, second lesson, ideas of development. We can see how Himachal Pradesh has moved forward in terms of education. So what can you take? What can you infer from it? See, if there is a will, there is a way. They are not very good in terms of GDP compared to other states, but they have put a goal, they have set a goal for themselves that they need to improve their literacy levels. So they have worked on it and they were able to achieve it. So like that, you need to pick up those inferences and write about it. Okay, examples that you related in para number 1 needs more explanation. Here you explain those examples in greater detail. Most of the students do a mistake here. They rewrite the same example that is given in para number 1. That would not help you in getting marks. In fact, the person who is correcting the paper would be bored or tired or may think you're doubling up the points. You're writing again and again the same point. So don't do that. So think, explain in great detail. Then you think about instances from the lesson, key points which you think can be discussed here. Okay, add those key points. If you know some data or facts relating to the paragraph, for example, if it is talking about women or if it is talking about girl education, you can say that in India till today we haven't achieved the same number of literates in both males and females. There is a great disparity. So you can talk about such facts. Even today, the number of women representatives in the parliament is, the number is very little when compared to men. So you can talk about such facts, such data which is universally true, and make sure to add those in para number 2. And the last point is add critical or additional points which actually add weight to your understanding. So to prove your understanding, to prove to the reader that you have understood this paragraph really well, add critical points which shows that you have really understood. Okay, add some points which have additional information. Ignore all those dogs barking in my background. I'm really sorry, I couldn't help much. Okay, so this is about para number 2. So simply you explain para number 1 in great detail, add few examples here and there which are relevant, and then talk about data or facts which are again related to this paragraph or the concept, and relate them all in para number 2. So the ideal size of writing para number 2 would be anywhere between 15 to 20 sentences, not more than 20, not less than 15. So anywhere between 15 to 20 sentences would do absolutely good. So the first paragraph is done, second paragraph is done. Let's look at the final paragraph, para number 3. So now that you have put all your understandings in para number 1 and 2, now it's time to look at para number 3. So third para actually tells you how deeply you have understood. Okay, most often you will see the one correcting the paper would usually ignore reading para number 2. They would just briefly read para number 1, but they will particularly read para number 3. So the strong points, if you keep in para number 3, that shows the depth of your understanding. Okay, so what to write in para number 3? First off, give a one line conclusion. Okay, just one line conclusion, okay, to your understanding. Give it a conclusion, either you support or you don't support, if it is in the paragraph. Either what's your opinion, that you have to mention in one line. Okay, that's a conclusion, you stand by it, and then you express your opinions. Right, your understanding is different, but what is your opinion? Do you support such things or do you don't support? So mention reasons as to why you support or why you don't support, or what are the advantages or disadvantages of supporting or not supporting. So depending on the context, you write your opinions. Not more than 3 sentences, okay? Let's keep it simple. 2 to 3 sentences of your opinion would do good. And then you give few suggestions if possible. If there is a need, for example, we are talking about poverty, unemployment, literacy rates, education, health, or wars, peace, elections. If you find there is a chance of adding few suggestions, the suggestions could be to people, suggestions could be to government, suggestions could be to anything or anyone. Okay, add 1 or 2 suggestions, and then with one beautiful line you end it. Okay, put one line at the end that sums up all that you have written, and finally give a good closing. That's all in para number 3. So looking at this video, you might think that it's a long process. To say you the truth, this is actually not very hard. It is not even long. The more you practice, the better it is. Okay, so pick paragraphs from the lesson and start writing interpretations. Okay, if you're in class 8 or 7, or if you're a young student, you can do it now. The more hard work you do now, it would be easy for you as you go to the higher classes. If you're in 9th or 8th, start practicing this. I hope these tips would definitely help you. So I would literally do one of my own interpretation in the next video. I would like to, you know, on write an interpretation for you guys, and I will include all these points in that and give it to you. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.